Welcome to Education Without Borders. In this lesson, we want to teach our very fresh graduates or students who have just left school and they intend to prepare themselves to enter the job market. What is it that potential employers would be impressed with if they look at a very fresh graduate or fresh school leaver if they want to engage them into their places of work? This is what Education Without Borders wants to expose our potential workers to. First and foremost, remember we are in Education Without Borders. There are also other things that we touch on without borders, and one of them is interview without borders. An interview without an invitation letter, an interview where you are not in any confined room, an interview without borders. What is an interview without borders? An interview without borders is where you are graded by observation. Somebody just looks at you, they know your potential, you're about to come looking for a job, but they gauge you without inviting you to anywhere. That is interview without borders. It's a subset within Education Without Borders. Let me just explore a little bit on what to expect. These days, there are very many graduates and young men and women getting out of college or in school and entering the job market. They're actually in their millions, not even thousands, millions all over the world. And remember, we are here talking about no borders, so we are a global community. So let's address all of us. It doesn't matter where you want to fit in, anywhere on the globe, you are a potential candidate of the labor market. First and foremost, the first test that I would want to bring to the attention of our potential employees is when you have a graduation ceremony or even a function where graduation is taking place. Most of the time you find the schools bring all the graduates together, they invite their families, they invite their friends, and they are well seated somewhere at a big tent. And they all look very well and quite ready and anxious and excited. Then in front of them is a podium where their dignitaries, VIP, sit there. Indeed, I would say they are VVIP. In front of the graduate seats, VVIP. And who are these VVIP? It's always good to ask yourself, okay, on one side, you have the graduates, but who are these VVIP? These VVIP are your potential employers. They are PSs, they are CSs, they are diplomats, they are people from all walks of life who are seated in front and observing. You are actually, that time is an interview without borders, and they observe you. First, even before we go any further, it's important to remind all of us that the world owes none of us anything. Indeed, the world just observes. And indeed, nature can be quite unforgiving. And therefore, we need to be very careful when interacting with the world, especially the world of work, because that's where the rubber meets the road. So if you are seated out there, at the podium are your potential employers. And the behavior, how you are behaving, is normally portrayed on a big screen. In fact, most of the time, it is even broadcasted in a national television. Therefore, what is it then that we need to know? What is it that we need to know? We need to know that through this observation, you are able to tell, am I having potential employees who are patient enough? One of the areas that is a very, very, very weak area of the graduates is walking out, rising up, even after they are told have a seat and wait for your degrees to be conferred. Most of them just move out en masse. They just stand even before other colleagues' names have been called out, and they walk away. And when they do that, they are being observed. It means they are not ready for the work market and that they are not ready to be employed. They are not patient. So they've already failed the first test of the second test of the job market is how you present yourself. And the presenting oneself, as expressed in this interview without borders, is that how you behave towards the administrators who try to control the crowds even within the graduation. How you respond to them is also an indicator of whether you are ready for the job market or not. Remember, an administrator is already an employee. He has been given the work to control the crowds. And when you are very rude to them, reminding them that you are now a graduate, you are now a kiri, you are now daktari, you are now engineer, you are now a big boss somewhere, yet you have not even had your degree conferred, you have failed the second test of the job market. Number 3, work ethic. If, for example, you are lucky enough to get a job and you go to an office, and when you are told these are the working hours, the first thing you do is to engage with your boss. You start asking them, oh, will I get off? How many off days will I have? And how much will I have for, my leave? Will the leave be paid for? And is there any lunch? Am I allowed to do this, to do the other? You become now the interviewer as opposed to the interviewee. Even if you have gotten that job, I'm sorry to let you know that the employer will just tell you, you're on 3 months probation, we shall review, but already you have failed the second test of this interview without borders. This is education without borders, and we are in the subset of preparation for interviews as you enter the job market. The other test in a job market is how you look, your demeanor. Are you kept? Is your hair kept? Your nails? Do you have good hygiene? Do you shower? Or when you enter, everybody will know that you have entered because of the body odor. It's a matter of time before your contract, if your contract or internship or whatever agreement you have entered with the employer lapses, they'll be very, very hesitant unless you show an improvement. The other thing that normally puts off employers is work ethic. What time do you come in? You look for the slightest opportunity to sit down or to talk with colleagues or to miss coming to work altogether. There is no employer who can engage anybody to have their systems run down or to have their workplace put upside down. If you have any indication of this, and it's very easy to tell, especially at the very early days of your employment, then you know that your days will be numbered. And to make it worse, remember, even if you are to progress to another place, you will need recommendation letters. So that brings me to the other point. What impression do you leave? Even if you've worked for 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, 1 year in a place, what impression have you created? Because that will determine the recommendation. And remember, whoever is giving you a recommendation has a name to protect. They have protected their name for so long. It could even be a lifetime to protect their name. And for them to append their name on your letter of recommendation when they are not sure, you find it very difficult. There will be very many excuses here and there. They will not be very comfortable appending their name against yours to say that they can vouch that you are a good worker or you go to for further studies. It becomes very, very difficult. These are things you will not learn in books. Neither you may be lucky if you have some extracurriculum classes of grooming and work ethic and so on. But due to the tight schedules of the work and considering maybe most students may not find it useful until they get to the job market, you need to know that people have names to protect, and they'll be very reluctant to append their names, which they have jealously protected and built a brand and a legacy. Remember, somebody's reputation is a legacy, and you cannot go vouching for a character you are not sure that they will deliver. So if you don't have good work ethic, if you don't start branding yourself, then know that it will be very difficult to get a recommendation from a reputable individual. Let us keep learning and knowing that there are interviews without borders where you are being observed. The world is watching. The world is watching to see if you can pass these tests. Therefore, keep learning and keep watching so that we may bring you content of this nature. Don't forget to share this very important information, especially to the young people entering the job market. It will help somebody. You share this, also subscribe so that we continue engaging in this type of content that you build each one of us. Subscribe, share, and like. Education Without Borders. Keep watching and keep learning. We shall be back